Welcome to Hearts and Stripes, your one-stop shop for all things military marriage. I hope our discussions and interviews equip you with the tools to start or grow a beautiful marriage as we address the benefits and challenges of MILF marriage. I believe life's most precious moments are worth celebrating, so I'll help you design your marriage blueprint in alignment with your core values. Thank you for joining us, and remember to rate, subscribe, and review. Let's do this. Okay, everyone, this is day 3 of our storytelling series, and I have another fantastic member of the Armed Forces Insurance Spouse of the Year, our top 18. So I just wanted to remind you that we kicked off this series all with Nomadis. They have a fantastic offer for 20% off their gorgeous bracelets. Please take advantage. Also, special thank you to the Armed Forces Insurance for having this program. This award is more than just a certificate or pat on the back to these spouses. They have an opportunity to advocate for what they have been working hard in, and now this is just elevating them to that next level to get in front of a greater audience to make a greater impact. So thank you so much, Armed Forces Insurance, for having this platform. Without further ado, we're going to jump right in to our chat with Paulette. So hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us on this Heart to Heart. I have a very special guest, another member of the Armed Forces Insurance Spouse of the Year, our best and brightest for this year, and I'm super excited to have her on. I have none other than Paulette Fryar. She is the 2020 Armed Forces Insurance United States Coast Guard Personnel Service Center Spouse of the Year. Paulette, say hello to everyone.
Hello. How's everybody doing today?
Yes, so thank you so much for being here. I'm super excited to just chat with you and hear your military marriage story. So if you could just tell us kind of how you met your spouse and what this military life has kind of looked like for you two.
Okay, well, thank you, Bree, so much for having me. I'm really excited to be able to share a little bit of our story and our military marriage story. My husband and I actually met as teenagers.
Nice.
We were friends in high school, just same friend group, didn't date, anything like that, just hung out together a lot and got to know each other pretty well. And kind of went our separate ways, and life happened, and we reconnected when we were in our early 30s and found ourselves single parents. We each had 2 little boys. So we had quite a bit in common when we reconnected, and it was all via email and phone calls because he was, of course, serving our country about 1,000 miles away, from our hometown, and we just started kind of building a different type of relationship that way and found ourselves in a lot of the similar situation, raising 2 little boys, and just really reconnected in a different way. And it was a very fairly whirlwind romance that way. And as all military families know, sometimes weddings happen to make it work with PCSs and those sort of things. So we got married, and at the time we had a 6-year-old, a 7-year-old, and 2 8-year-old boys, 4 boys. So a lot of our marriage story is centered around those boys too.
Wow, that is
so
awesome.
Yeah, so we were stationed in Alaska first thing, which I think really just kind of developed our relationship a lot closer because we were in one of those kind of isolated places, not in the lower 48. You really have to rely on old-fashioned types of relationships and communication that way. So that was really special. But, of course, he traveled a ton. He found himself going to D.C. almost the whole time we were in Alaska. So right away we experienced the joys of long-distance relationships in America with the military. Yeah. But we really feel like God intended us for this life and for each other because we've always been able to be very flexible. We've handled the moves fairly easily. we just both feel like we were made for this type of life and for some of the challenges that it brings. And we feel like we've learned a lot of how to keep things in perspective about life, remember what's important and not focus on what's not. And we've learned how to roll with it really well.
That's really good. I like how you said that you just kind of felt like you were built for it. And I think you kind of went into it with a certain level of maturity and with a desire to really just do what was good for the family and for those boys. So I love that you guys connected on that level. You have a beautiful blended family and
Thank you.
jumped right on into the military life. So that is so awesome. And, you know, it's kind of, most people don't feel like they know what to expect when going into military life. But I love how you said that, you know, it just being flexible, it just came naturally to you. And I think a lot of military couples can kind of relate to that when things are good in their relationship. It just kind of works out naturally. The things that other people would be like, oh my gosh, he's long distance and you never see each other and all that. It's just you get those communication old-fashioned communication going, and you figure it out.
You do, and you learn how to just make the most of the time you do have together.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying there aren't challenges. There are. Right. But we just feel like we were kind of made for it. I don't know.
Awesome. I love that. You're made for it. So I would love to hear about some of the work that you are doing, because you are a busy lady.
I am. Well, we are now empty nesters. Our children are all college age across the country from us. We moved out. We were transferred to Washington, D.C. right when our two youngest graduated from high school. And as you can tell, they're all very close in age. They were really all just newly college age and decided to stay out where they were. And we moved east. So I found myself having a lot more time on my hands in a different way. And I just really felt strongly in wanting to work with young military mamas. And I've always been a connector of military spouses. I've always loved doing that. In different places we've been stationed, I love taking the role of just hosting a lot of different functions, cookie exchange, Christmas party, book club, whatever, just to make sure that military spouses stay connected, because we are a Coast Guard family. It's different than your average military family. So most of the time we are stationed in places there's no base, there's no housing, or not Coast Guard housing anyway, and so we're very spread out. So it can be very isolating. It can be very challenging that way. So I've always just had a heart to connect Coast Guard spouses anyway, because it's needed in that community. It's just a different thing. You're not living close to them. When we were in Seattle, there would be people that were an hour and a half away that they all worked in the same building, but we'd be an hour and a half in all different directions. So it could take 3 hours to get from one place to the other. So it was just really important to me to connect people. Anyway, so coming to D.C., being an empty nester, I used to be involved in the MOPS program when my children were younger, and I found a MOPS program. Actually, they found me. I just ran into someone that was a coordinator for a MOPS group on Fort Belvoir at the Army base here in the area. And they were mentioning, gosh, you'd be a great mentor mom. We really need mentor moms in the MOPS program on Fort Belvoir. And I thought, oh, my gosh, I love MOPS. I love their mission. And my kids are all grown. It's the perfect time for me to do this. So I jumped in as a mentor mom 3 years ago when we first got here, and I've been doing that ever since. And, boy, it is just – I almost get as much out of it as I give, because I do miss my kids a lot, and a lot of these young moms remind me of my children, their age, and so it's very rewarding for me. But it's just so important, especially in the military setting, to have some good mentors and people there for these young moms that are away from home for the first time, raising babies with husbands deployed, and having to make these life decisions they've never had to make, let alone make by themselves. And just kind of be there for support and let them know they're doing a good job, help them out if they need a little something. And I just find it's so important to be there for that young generation.
And I'm so happy that they found you because, like you said, you are a connector. That's when I read your profile, that is exactly that's the word that stuck out to me. Like, she is a connector. She is there to get the younger military families, especially, connected with some resources and some things that just make their journey a lot easier, especially since you're a seasoned spouse. Like, you know the ropes. You've tried a lot of the challenges that we may come up against. And I know, for one, me having little people, I so appreciate having a mentor or someone who can say, like, hey, you might want to look out for that or prepare for these stages that are to come or this type of move. So the work isn't, I mean, you couldn't put a price on the value that you are sharing with these families. And I'm so appreciative of that this has become your platform and something that you advocate for.
Well, thank you. And it was really beneficial last year during the government shutdown for us with Coast Guard families because I was volunteering at Fort Belvoir, because there were a lot of resources there through the chapel and different things like that. I was able to connect a lot of young Coast Guard families to assistance that they were really trying to provide to the Coast Guard community during that time, but didn't really know how to even really find all the Coast Guard families. So I was able to connect a lot of people to food banks, diapers, gas cards, all kinds of things that people were donating to help us out during that time, but just to be able to get it to the people that really needed it. So that was really good too. I'm glad that worked out that way.
That is amazing. I love that. Love that. And it was perfect timing, like you said.
It was.
So, last thing that I would love for you to share, and you kind of touched on it when you talked about your platform and what you're advocating for, since this series is all about stories. So what do you think how is your story, I should say it this way, how is your story impacting the lives of military families today?
Well, I hope that for the young mamas that I work with, they are impacted positively by my support and just being there for them when they need a sounding board or need a little help. That's definitely my heart right now. And that goes for Coast Guard spouses, really all branches. It's been so neat being in the area I am right now because I've really got the opportunity to work with spouses of all different branches, and connecting them also has been really awesome. And I'm involved in a number of different military spouse groups besides MOPS too. I'm on the board, I'm executive board for the Coast Guard Spouses group here in the National Capital Region. And I also serve on the board at Fort Belvoir, which it's an all-branch club, all branch, all rank club. Love it. And it's just really neat to be able to connect people to just, even if it's services they need or someone that can help them out with selling a home or I don't know. I just enjoy being able to connect people that way because we're all in the same boat of being in this huge area where there's people from all over, and it's easy to just get lost in the crowd. So I really do love participating in those different groups. I'm a member of the Capital Area Military Spouse Group also at Fort Myer. I just really enjoy connecting people. So I definitely that is a priority in my life at this point, trying to make my time here valuable, even though I don't have my children here to mother on. I'm going to find somebody to mother on.
and I love that. I absolutely love that. Well, Paulette, thank you so much for being a connector in this community. Thank you for using your story to impact the lives of that next generation, if you will, of military families. The work you do truly does have great impact, and I am so excited to see your platform grow because it is one that is absolutely needed.
Well, you are so welcome, and I'm just going to end with one little thing. I have a little hashtag. So my hashtag is #TogetherWeAreStronger because I really, really believe that we are better together and no one needs to do this life alone.
I absolutely love that. We will link that hashtag. Everybody, go ahead, use Together We Are Stronger. Because Paula is absolutely correct. We definitely are. So thank you so much for being a part.
You're welcome.
This podcast is sponsored by B. Carroll Events for wedding and event planning and design. I'm so glad Paulette was able to share. She is definitely a connector and a strong powerhouse of a military spouse. I love that she's using this season in her life to serve, and she's really being effective in her area. I really enjoyed hearing the difference in lifestyle for our Coast Guard families. Being Air Force, you don't get to cross check and hear the different experiences, but that's what this podcast is all about. I hope you guys were able to gain something from this storytelling series. We have another one coming at you tomorrow as well. Stay tuned. This is Hearts and Stripes, all about military marriage and hearing about our military stories. Thank you for tuning in. Remember to rate, subscribe, and review. This is Hearts and Stripes. We are the few and the proud that aim high and are forged by love. Born ready. We are Mil Marriage Strong.